All right, welcome everyone to our second Best Talk panel of this spring semester here at Houghton College. And we're excited to be able to bring you this event this evening featuring four of my favorite people, just four of our young alums from our data and computer science program here at Houghton College that are repping their alma mater so well across the country. So I couldn't be more excited about this particular Best Talk. Just a couple of things for housekeeping. There's a chat function, and I would encourage you to submit your questions at any point during the Best Talk on that chat, and we will reserve time toward the end of the Best Talk. Ryan Ozello, who I'll introduce in a second, he and I will be asking questions of our panelists, and then I would encourage you to submit those questions on the chat, and we will entertain those questions toward the end. We have already, as I said, this is our second Best Talk. We have two more scheduled. Tuesday, March 23rd will be our last one with our pre-health professions alumni who are, currently either in college at a continuing education, or they are on the job. And so we're looking forward to that. That's at 7 p.m. on March 23rd. And our next one is Monday, March 8th in the afternoon, so that we can be in the middle of an accounting class. And we have some young alums across the world who are working in the world of accounting, and we're looking forward to that next Best Talk as well. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce Ryan Ozello. Ryan will be graduating from Houghton College here this year. So from the class of 21, comes to Houghton from nearby Rochester, New York. And this particular Best Talk is presented by Manners, and he's going to explain more about Manners, but Ryan has served as the president last year, the treasurer this year. He came to Houghton in their science honors program, majors in data and computer science, served last year at the request of President Mullen on our futures committee to kind of give her some feedback about what students would want moving forward, the future of Houghton College, and did a great job there. I had an opportunity to hear him present to our board of trustees. And last summer, he interned at Land O'Lakes out in Minneapolis, and that was in data analytics and visualization, and took advantage of an opportunity to intern with the city of Rochester the previous summer of 2019. So Ryan, I'll have you say hello and talk a little bit more about our Houghton Manners chapter.
Yeah, hello everyone and welcome. Thank you, Carl. Yeah, so if you guys, I'm sure you've probably heard the name Manners out there, but what it stands for is Minorities in Agriculture, Natural Resources, and Related Sciences. And really what it is, its goal is really to kind of empower minorities, through professional development and also like talks about diversity and inclusion, but specifically in the agriculture industry. And so, some of the things that we do, like Houghton Manners here at Houghton, we're just an extension actually of the national organization Manners, which, they hold regional and national conferences. And so some of the things that we do here, as maybe some of you actually have been able to attend, are like, resume workshops, attending the national and regional conferences now virtually, and doing like, mock interviews and things like that. And yeah, and so all four of our panel speakers here today were all huge, they're all huge part of Manners in the past. And I've had the honor of working with all of them in some manner at Manners and in the data science and computer science program. And so I've been so thankful to be and learn from these men and be around these men. And so happy to bring them all here together today for all of you to learn from. So let's introduce our panel guests. So I'd love it for each of you just to introduce yourself, kind of tell us what your role was in Manners, or what it is in Manners, because it even goes on potentially beyond just college, and then just some of your maybe internship experiences and where you are now. So maybe we can start with Erik.
Sure, yeah, thanks, Ryan. So yeah, I was one of the founding members of Houghton Manners along with Michael and Jake during my freshman year. I held the positions of treasurer, vice president, and then president of Houghton Manners. And while at Houghton, I had two internships with John Deere, the first one being at JDF in the risk analytics group. And then the second internship was at headquarters in the data analytics accelerator, which is pretty much like a like a startup within John Deere that helps give analytics capacity to other teams that are looking to bring kind of analytics within their own teams. And then after graduation, I graduated this May, May 2020, I guess last May, and got hired on as an analytics development program at John Deere full time, and then worked there for 3 months, and then in November got promoted to full-time data scientist at ISG, which is the Intelligent Solutions Group within John Deere, which is kind of their tech center where we deal with a lot of precision ag data, machine data, weather data to kind of bring insights to farmers and to improve their efficiencies within their operations.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm just going in the order on my screen. So Michael, you next.
Sure, thank you, Ryan. So like Eric, I actually also work for John Deere and quite a bit of overlaps with the experience. I was also founding member of Manners at the Houghton chapter. I also served as a national undergraduate president while I was there as well. So a little bit of experience on both national and the local chapter level at Houghton. And then in terms of my job experience, like Eric said, I've worked at John Deere, a couple internships. I also had an internship with Kellogg Food Company, and as well as I am now full-time data scientist for John Deere Financial Group on the risk analytics team. So we do a lot of like a risk mitigation for our John Deere financial business, and quite a bit of analytic based on that.
Thank you. Yeah, John.
Thank you, Ryan. So my name is John Khalaf, and I graduated a couple of years ago. I actually, after interning for the first time at Land O'Lakes, I went and worked for, that was an integration team / data science team. And then I worked for a nonprofit up in Buffalo called Weedy. If you've ever been to the West Side Bazaar, that's run by that organization. And then I've started the TAB project, the TAB program, sorry, which stands for Talent Acceleration Program, which is a 2-year program that new hires get to participate in, where you rotate around different teams to learn more about the company. I started with the server engineering team, and then moved to the sales team, where we created the first warranty product in the US for crop products and crop protection products and seeds. So that was a fun project. Currently, I'm working with a supply chain group as a project manager, focused on logistics, sourcing, and transportation.
Awesome. And last but not least, last but not least, Jake.
Hey guys, happy to be here. I apologize, I'm the one with the technical difficulties. My computer decided that its camera wasn't going to work today, so I had to switch to my phone. So like Michael and Eric said, I'm one of the founding members of our chapter of Manners at Houghton as well. And Manners currently, Land O'Lakes actually does have a big part in Manners, and so there's a lot of avenues that we can take to, help with incoming Manners students, help with the Manners activities at Land O'Lakes. Unfortunately, with COVID, the big Manners conference was canceled. It was actually supposed to be at Land O'Lakes, so didn't get to take part in that. My internship, I actually had 2. My first was actually at Houghton College in the Office of Institutional Effectiveness, and then my second was at Land O'Lakes in web development. And then after that internship, Land O'Lakes offered me full-time, and so I was offered a TAP position, as John just mentioned. And now I've been pulled out of TAP early and placed into a data science position full-time, where I'm actually currently working on not necessarily a data science project, more of a web development project, but in the real world, that's kind of how it is. So yeah, that's me.
Awesome. You kind of already gotten into where we were headed next, is the kind of the path that you've taken. Some of you, I know your stories better than others. It's interesting, and John, I'll give a little backstory, and I'll put you on the spot. So John came to us from Egypt and was going to pursue an applied physics degree. That was what brought him here. And then in his time here, discovered that a passion that he didn't even know existed, which then precipitated a new path for him. And so the question I would have for John and the rest of you, could you have imagined, Michael might be the exception to this, that you would end up in a career of agriculture analytics, you know, and what would be kind of the milestones that helped, you know, make those decisions along the way to get you where you are today?
Thank you, Carl. And I see Dr. Brandon Hoffman here. He was my professor for the first year. I enjoy seeing him. I've lots of great memories. But I always say this, growing up, my parents would always tell me that I have to study very hard because they grew up in agriculture, doing a lot of agricultural work, and it's hard work. So they told me you need to study hard and learn to be smart so you can work in a field away from agriculture. Now I am studied hard and I worked hard and I'm stuck in agriculture. So I tell them that now I finally get my parents to stop telling me what to do because I followed their advice and it didn't work. So I don't think if it wasn't for Houghton and Doctor Who's personal investment, and he was pushing me toward like that field. Because I came as a applied physics major, and toward the last quarter, he had to teach me all of programming 1 so I can join programming 2. So we'd meet every Tuesday and Thursday. Like it wasn't even credit or anything. And we'll do programming together on my tiny laptop. So definitely I give a lot of credit to Dr. Who for that.
And Michael, I remember when you visited campus as a prospective student, somewhere on that particular day, I heard, hey, you got to meet this guy. This is a guy who's interested in coming here because we're launching data science. And this is someone whom we would love to have on campus. And long story short, you ended up here. So talk a little bit about, you know, why did you choose Houghton initially? And then the path, you know, you really brought manners to Houghton College.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Carl. So I think one of the reasons why I was attracted to Houghton was that personal interaction with the professors and being able to interact on very kind of like a one-on-one base. So I was able to meet with Dr. Who and as well as Carmen, actually, who was with us. And they were kind of able to convince me. And at the time I was transferring, there was only about 5 undergrad degrees who was offering data science program nationwide in US. So I was kind of Googling, and like I just honestly just ended up finding Houghton just out of blue, and because of the data science program. And I had 2 criteria for me to transfer, which was having the data science program and as well as playing tennis. So Houghton fit both criteria perfectly. So I was able to transfer, and rest is history. And I was able to bring Manners into our great group.
Awesome. And Jake, you come from my stomping ground, nearby Chautauqua County. And when I saw the last name Annis, you transferred in from junior college. But the reason I was familiar with Annis is because your sister was an amazing soccer player. I remember watching her play against my wife's team in high school. So Jake, what brought you to Houghton, and talk a little bit about some of your milestones?
Well, you know, I used to be pretty decent at soccer too at one point, but but no, I never thought I would end up going in agriculture, and never thought I would end up going in data science. I thought I was going to be a lot of things growing up. At first, I thought I was going to be an architect until I found out that what I thought was architecture was actually carpentry. And then after that, I decided I was going to be an engineer, like my dad. And so that's what I was going to junior college for, was mechanical engineering. And then I got to the point where, you know, math is basically hypothetical and didn't really feel real anymore, and decided, you know, it wasn't really for me. And so after that, I talked to my dad. I said, Dad, I don't want to do it. And he said, well, what about data science? And it's like, I don't know what that is, but sure. And he said, what about Houghton? And I was like, I've heard it before. I've gotten the free shirts from some of the events that I've gone to. And so I was like, yeah, sure, why not? And so it was just really me saying sure. And then when I got to Houghton, never did any visitations or anything. I just kind of showed up there. And then I remember meeting Michael on the first or second day. We just kind of bumped into each other and started talking about sports. And then from there, you know, all of a sudden we're making a Manners chapter together. And then after that, I went from a small college in the middle of Amish country over to a big city in Minneapolis, and working for a Fortune 200 company. So no, a lot of unexpected things happened.
Yeah, have enjoyed watching the journeys of all of you gentlemen. I got a chance to meet Erik earlier on, and then watch the maturity in him to the point that I said, "Hey, Erik, come with me. I want you to talk at our Stories of Impact events." So representing the college as a student, having that level of comfort to put him out in front. So Erik, talk a little bit about, what brought you to Houghton, your Houghton experience, and preparing you for where you are now.
Yeah, so it's kind of different, I guess, to a lot of people's college stories, where I kind of knew I wanted to do data science because I loved math and I loved computers, and data science just seemed to be the perfect combination of the two to solve real world problems. And that was important to me. And data science was just the perfect fit. And luckily enough, it was a super new field, in 2016, in terms of, the not necessarily a new field, but the words data science, we were kind of blowing up in 2016. And it was fortunate enough that, Houghton offered the data science program. So that's what brought me to Houghton in the first place, because they were, I think, one of the only ones, near me that offered a bachelor degree in data science. And then I was also fortunate, going to Houghton and having it being such a high quality program. And one of the things that really helped me out in my career was that, Houghton really, my freshman year, put me into all the programming data science classes immediately. It wasn't just, we're not going to ease you into your freshman year with a bunch of general classes. You're being put right into, data science and doing data science work, and building up that skill set. And that really helped me kind of get, I think, a leg up on, other students around the country when, I started interviewing, for internships at John Deere, in my sophomore year, which then, led to, the position I have right now. So, I think, Houghton's high quality data science program, putting me into it my freshman year was definitely huge. And then also the support of the staff and just that one-on-one connection and the relationships you build with professors. Definitely more than huge. There's so many times where I can just hang out in the data science lab. And, Dr. Who is there, Ryan Yates, the former data science professor, is there just willing to help and to spend the time to, answer any questions, just have conversation, work with you on any struggles that you have. I mean, that was also, huge to develop my skills and, as a person, and as a data scientist.
Yeah, thank you all for sharing your stories. I mean, since we're still on, the topics of beginnings, honestly, I don't think I've heard this formally even, maybe just little bits and pieces, but maybe I'll direct this towards Michael, since I know he was in the beginning kind of. But how did the Manners chapter here at Houghton, which is really kind of, springboarded all of us in ways in our careers, how did that kind of get started here?
I basically grabbed people off the street and then told them they're gonna start my chapter with me, including Erik, John, Jake. Honestly, I saw a huge gap in our Houghton College. Obviously, we had a great program. Academically, it was challenging. It was very centered around God. Like, it was very, very established programs and established community, but I saw that professional development lacking a little bit. From my previous college, I was involved with Manners, and I was able to kind of get involved quite heavily to the point where I was actually elected to be Region 1, which is our chapter's region vice president, and served at that capacity. And I saw that being a great benefit to our students, as well as just a community where we could cherish and really bring that professionalism into our community. So I was able to really kind of push that a little bit. I was able to kind of talk to various people, countless people really, to just kind of, hey, like, what do you think about this idea of like agriculture, professional development? Like, what are your thoughts? And then luckily, Jake, Erik, and John was able to join me in that journey and really grow our chapter. I still remember going to our first cluster, which is our regional conference at Penn State. And Jake had a broken arm or broken collarbone. Erik didn't know what he was doing. And all of us were barely having resumes and like talking to professionals. And it was really fun journey, and also just like a really cool that we're seeing that resulted into this. It's really amazing to me that we were able to accomplish something like this.
Yeah, I just want to acknowledge something that you shared there is just kind of your boldness, right? Just to kind of grab people and bring them in. Something that I've noticed, this is an observation, a moment of learning for me, and hopefully you guys can learn from it too, is the boldness of these men right here in terms of their professional development and pushing themselves. I felt them, at different times, some of them graduated 1 year earlier than others. I felt their leadership and their boldness pushing me into doing public speaking contests and pushing me way outside my comfort zone in my professional development. And it's because of that. It's because of, their support and support like leaders like that I was able to actually grow in terms of communicating and presenting myself in front of others. So I just want to thank you for that kind of leadership, and also kind of experience, it's kind of a moment of learning, of having that boldness. As stressful as it is, going public speaking at a national conference, it's because of this kind of community inside of Manners that they've started that I've been able to grow, and many other people and students here at Houghton have been able to grow. So just thank you to you all. And that was just kind of a fun observation I made. Yeah.
And Ryan, I would like to actually add one more point. One thing I missed was bringing that diversity, equity, and inclusion into our presence of community. I think that's one of the hot topics that has been going on for last few decades, and more volume to it in the last few years. And I think with Manners, we were able to bridge that gap. I think, Ryan, I think it was you actually said that this was first time at a cluster where you felt like you're a minority, or you were the minority for first time in your life, right? So being able to expose people like you, Ryan, to that environment and really talk about and engage that kind of conversation really felt impactful and engaging from a Houghton College perspective. And just moving forward, I think that's going to really grow you and everybody to the next level of professionalism, diversity of thoughts, diversity, and become that thought leader whenever you go out to professional world after college.
So of the four of you, Erik has been at it the shortest amount of time. He's only been in the workplace now officially for a year, not counting the internships. All the rest of you have been working for John Deere or Land O'Lakes for at least 2 years. So would a couple of you talk more specifically about the computer and data science work that you're doing at these amazing companies? Tell us a little bit about the day-to-day and what excites you and what you're passionate about in the workplace.
So I can go first. And then I do just want to say, for anybody listening, we might be data science and we might all go to John Deere and Land O'Lakes, but especially with Manners, there's a lot more opportunities that you can go to. If you're a biology student, there's things like Bayer. I mean, there's FMC. There's a whole bunch of different companies that are there representing. And so professional development is not just for a couple companies. It's not just for a couple degrees. It's for a whole spectrum of, what interests you and how can you apply that to agriculture. And so for me, what's going on in my life now that excites me is, so I just joined the data science team as a full-time data scientist about 2 or 3 months ago. And so I'm very new to the workforce. I'm working for a Fortune 200 company. And this year, the project that I'm working on is the second largest project for our team. So we're talking very, very big project, very big margins, and I'm working on it entirely by myself. And so I have a really big responsibility at the company, and having that amount of trust for not being there that long is really huge for me. And so, I mean, I've always wanted to put my best into the work that I do to perform the best that I can. And so something like this, where, it's not even really a strict data science project, I'm basically doing web development. It's out of my comfort zone, but it's something that, I'm going to get done, and I'm going to get done properly. And so, that's kind of what's exciting me, at least currently in my job, is that, I have that amount of trust and responsibility as a young person. So yeah.
I can add a little bit. Having my experience at Houghton wasn't necessarily just the data science, but all the liberal art, part of it, all the activities and the relationships I built. Manners was very special to me because you know, as Michael and others have said, Michael have grabbed us, and Michael was, you're gonna do this, and Michael encouraged us to trust and perform at our best. But also, like Kimball, for example, came to us one day like, okay, who doesn't have a suit, and went home and grabbed a bunch of suits from her husband and shoes and stuff like this. And like that is the tightness and the closeness, but also that created this trust that I personally appreciated. Being from a different country, being from different culture, so the people are investing in me. Also, the manners community is really great. With it's people are investing in each other. People are pushing each other all the time. So this was something great to me. The one thing I want to highlight about how this impacted me in the workplace right now is so currently I've been working as a project manager, but the experience I get working in agriculture is having a technical background, having mostly a functional role at the moment, is what we are able to how do we connect people together, right? So my experience in knowing how to connect people and knowing how to measure success and how to align people together from working in clubs or working and having different roles at Houghton or previously is what I think pushing me to do this role very well. Last year I worked with Jacob on a project that's enabling right now what's being described as the first farmer-owned carbon footprint program that will allow farmers to sell their carbon footprint, invest more in their carbon saving footprint. So something at this magnitude that me and Jacob and a couple other people had kind of planted the seed for really last year. It was one of the examples of that project.
So I remember couple summers ago, out of the blue, I get a call from a representative at Land O'Lakes. And Jake and John had been in their internship for all of a month. And this gentleman is calling me to say, what are you doing at Houghton? These guys are performing so well. I want to understand. They've outperformed all of their peers, including master's level students. And I want to better understand, the program at Houghton College. And so we talked about the liberal arts, the preparation, the critical thinking, and all of those features which made John and Jake stand out. And it also meant they had a job offer, as they finished up their internship. And we have Land O'Lakes basically has a welcome mat for Houghton students, right? And I think, Jake, you said this, not just in data science, pick a number of fields. You represented Houghton College so well in what you brought to the workplace that they would love to see more Houghton students, Houghton graduates come to Land O'Lakes. Erik and Mike, anything that you want to add to this?
Yeah, I don't know if I can follow up on that big spiel from the lakes, but we do have also an analytic development program where you graduate recently and then you go in for a 3-year rotational program, which I'll talk about a little bit more in detail after our session. But it's basically a development program that allows you to grow as a data scientist, data wrangler, data engineer within different areas or fields. So that's something that we promote. And obviously, Erik and I both completed both of the programs as well as internships. I think for internship, we hire countless. Like last year, I think we hired about 450 interns across all the functions. So at John Deere, there's quite a bit of opportunities available as well, regardless of your field. I've seen anyone from like chemical engineering to biology students getting hired into our programs. So if something is your passion, I would definitely say like follow it and then ask questions, connect with us, and have a conversation with us.
Yeah, and I can give an example, I guess, of the work I did as an ADP. So within John Deere, the ADPs get very, very cool projects to work on. The project that I worked on was to identify infield disturbances from satellite imagery that would be used as future input for driverless harvesters so that they could smartly navigate around those obstacles and plan their operation, which is mind-blowing to me. I never really thought that I'd be using satellite imagery with agriculture and to enable self-driving harvesters like that. had no concept of that, before the ADP program. And so, that was kind of like my dream, like job kind of going into this is like, I want to be, using the cutting edge, technologies to kind of advance agriculture, create, these smart machines, increase efficiencies for farmers. Cause that's a really important problem, as, farmers have a lot less resources to deal with as more land is being used for urbanization. They have less water, fertilizer to use. And so, increasing any efficiencies to, maximize their yields and to feed a growing population is, I think, to me personally, a very important problem to solve. And I think data science really fits into that. And I think that's definitely one of the most exciting things is, data science and agriculture and data science that it enables, you solving these really, really cool problems that are important, kind of for, global health and in general. And I think, also, just add on to that, Houghton did give me those skills, and I think Carl mentioned this earlier. Preparing students at a master's level, and a lot of the people, the coworkers that I'm working with, have master's and PhD degrees. I was the only bachelor degree student within my team, with the only ADP with a bachelor degree within my team, and so I think that kind of speaks volumes to the quality of Houghton's data science program.
Awesome. So, I mean, Michael has already mentioned a little bit, but about kind of the uniqueness, maybe even of manners. So, kind of throwing out to you four, maybe a couple of you can answer this. What is something that you guys think that you have because of manners that you wouldn't otherwise have gotten? That could be, something like opportunities or mindsets or really, really anything, right? Personal growth, anything like that.
Ryan, I kind of touched a little bit on this, but the networking part that Manners allows us to do, and the culture of support to each other. Oh, you're also in Manners. I wanna be there for you. I wanna hear your story. I wanna be part of your support group. So that when you are away from Houghton and when you're working in a big company like John Deere or Land O'Lakes or whatever other company, you really need a support group that can invest in you, push you over. Otherwise, your growth can be very limited. And Manners have really been providing that for me until now, that after graduating.
Yeah, so I can follow up on that. So for me, I would say basically the same thing. One of the biggest things that you can have coming out of college is a large network, and Manners literally lets you build a network throughout the entire nation. There's people from all over, whether it's California, whether it's North Carolina, wherever. You get to meet tons and tons of different people from different backgrounds, all with the same mindset. And so as from these people who have the same passions and, think about things the same way that you do, where you grow the most. And at the same time, not just knowing people, but Manners also teaches you how to be professional, teaches you how to build your resume, teaches you how to do public speaking. And so it's really through that teaching and that network where, opportunities open up for you. And so, I mean, Land O'Lakes would definitely be one of those opportunities that wouldn't have opened up if I had never taken part in Manners. So.
Yeah, I think kind of a part of my experience with Manners that has been kind of unique in terms of learning and professional development and stuff is how they foster mentor relationships and workshops. It's not necessarily just like a throwing information at you, that's it. It's like I'm coming alongside you. I want to get to know. I don't only just want to teach you something and you teach me something, but I also want to get to know you as a person and see where opportunities lie. It seems like more cohesive and inclusive, so many different aspects. So, right, that's something unique that I've experienced also with that. Yeah.
I would kind of add on to that. I think the biggest benefit that Manners gave me was just putting me into uncomfortable situations for my own personal development and growth. I'm one of those people that'd be more than happy to just sit and code all day on my project and get things done. But without Manners, I wouldn't have had the opportunities to, network and talk with people and put myself out there to grow with, competitions, public speaking competitions, and, other professional development competitions within Manners, which, forces you, especially at these conferences, to network and talk with people and to learn, that I just would not have had those opportunities, without Manners. So.
Yeah, and to wrap all that up, I think I want to make one more comment. Like, I want to say, like, President Mullen, like Carl, Dr. Young, Coach Lord, Carmen, Brandon, like all these professors, coaches, as well as all those staffs work really, really hard to make sure we get the highest quality of education as possible. And results speaks to that. However, Manners simply provide a channel for us to shine to the world and really provide that channel to be opening up to what other people can kind of see in us. And I think Manners provided tremendous value in that currently, and I think it will continue to grow in that space where our students will be able to grow and really, really shine in the workforce in the future. And to give back from our perspective after our growth that we experienced at Houghton, we, as four of us, decided to actually create a Dr. Wei-Hu Alumni Scholarship for data science, computer science program students. From Carl's at least comments, this was one of the youngest group of people to ever donate or start an endowment at Houghton College. And
not one of you definitely were the youngest. Yeah.
And obviously, I think this is something, it was out of just genuine heart that we did get value that we really wanted, and we were able to provide feedback. And we want to make sure that finance is not the thing that stops you from further educating yourself. And although it is small currently, we are planning to grow that at max capacity as possible as our program gets bigger, our alumni gets bigger. Ryan, I'm looking at you. You're going to come on next. So I think this is going to grow really tremendously with partnership with Manners, Houghton College. And I think this is just going to be a tremendous effort moving forward.
Yeah, I distinctly remember the day that Michael reached out to me and he's like, hey, I've been receiving scholarships and some of them have names on them. I was wondering, what would it take, right? And he's still a student. And I think you had a job. Yeah, you had your job lined up at that point, right? So you have some assurance that there's going to be income coming in, but you wanted to pay it forward, right? And then the ultimate recruiter, Michael that he is, he's going to go out and he's going, hey, John, hey, Jake, you're coming alongside of me. And then when Erik graduated, Erik, hey, you're in. But Erik knew before he ever graduated this week, they were already writing Ryan to make sure that he's in. And it's exciting, right? I mean, these young men were up here in the Office of Advancement as recipients of scholarships. They were recipients of generosity and that same pay it forward mentality. And they're saying, you know what, we want to make sure that future students have the same opportunities that we have. And when I share this story with peers, they're blown away, that you guys had a vision for that long a term. And John already alluded to this, Dr. Who's personal investment in you and your growth, and the ability to pay tribute to him in that process, it's an ideal gift. And I can't thank you enough. You are inspiring others to be generous. And to me, that's one of the greatest lessons that you could have learned here at Houghton. Right, a lifetime of generosity. So I'm really, really thankful, for that.
And then since we are talking about future students, one of the things I think all of us learned when we were starting Manners at Houghton is that sometimes it's hard to get people to join you, especially when there's kind of a stigma about things. And so when we say that we work in agriculture, I don't want future people to think, I know nothing about agriculture. How can I get into that field? We do all of the same things that all of the other data scientists throughout the countries do, if not more in-depth projects. I can tell you for certain that Land O'Lakes works directly with Microsoft. I can tell you for certain that Google just reached out to us for a project about a month ago. I can tell you that two of the data scientists I used to work with, one of them went to Facebook, one of them just left last week to go to Amazon. So agriculture is something that can fit you, and it's something that is definitely transferable in the future. And so I want to take the stigma off of agriculture, because it is one of the largest industries, in the entire world. And so for future students, if that's something that's putting you off, then I ask you to reconsider.
To add to Jacob, so it's not just agriculture is doing big project, but also it is not that you need a very specific skill set to join that. Jacob knows this, so our company is going through a big transformation in IT, because we realize that people, the technical and the functional people, need to work alongside each and learn to be cross-functional skills. So I now have been working closely with a transportation team, and I can geek with anybody about transportation and trucks for hours. And that transportation folks can learn about IT and technology and process, right? So as long as you have a desire to learn, not just like a single-threaded thing, but you can you can fit in any team if you have the desire to kind of develop the curiosity. Dr. Brandon here, he's here, and he can tell you that probably half his students who studied physics or applied physics are now working on some sort of related something to data science, right? He's smiling because he knows it's right. So why? Because his students are people who are really curious and really willing to learn, go and tackle something new and figure out how to break it into smaller problem and go to solve it. So if you have the curiosity, don't feel like technology is something that's far away from your field. You can plug in.
Awesome. So, Carl, if I'm not mistaken, I think we can go to Q&A right now. Does that sound good? Yeah. You're on mute, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so, I have not received questions in the chat tonight. So if we don't have questions, I'm going to continue to give our panelists opportunities from some of the things I'm more curious about. I was reminded as you were talking, I highlighted Land O'Lakes reaching out to us, but we also heard from your managers at John Deere. So this is what Erik's manager said about him. In part due to Erik's past internships, he joined our team with the skills ready to hit the ground running. He was able to take his academic experience and apply it to his work. However, it cannot be understated that ultimately it was his ability to listen and ask good questions that has helped him to be the most successful. She calls it innate curiosity. I love that, right? That's what I want to hear about a Houghton graduate. I'm curious, what are the skills that you have heard, and as you now are assessing, college students yourselves to join your teams, what are the things that stand out for you and have enabled you to be successful?
I can go ahead and start. So I think one of the biggest things for me, I think in order to have that innate curiosity, you kind of have to get rid of fear. You have to not be scared to ask questions. You have to not be scared to get out of your comfort zone. And so, like with manners, prepping to go to these big conferences and enter speaking competitions and, talk with several different people, trying to sell yourself to people, you really have to be able to know how to talk to them in a way where you stand yourself out, you make yourself heard in a different way than other people, and part of that is just being able to ask the hard questions, say the things that you really want to say, the things that you really think, and so I think that's kind of what I learned down my road, at least.
Yeah, to add to Jake's point, for me, what makes you stand out is curiosity and the action you take from that curiosity. And whatever, if even if you fail from that action, I would say that stands out to me. Just you being willing to try new things, try different things, and see where your passion lands. I think that speaks volume to me. And whenever I'm recruiting for next generations of talents, I actually look at that very seriously and make sure that we're able to capture that in our interview process.
I guess when we look at how COVID changed our world and how everything is different about this year, right? And how every company is looking to make work, looking to work smarter, looking to remove manual process. I fear that going down the pipeline, single-threaded skilled people, somebody who like only knows how to do server engineering or only knows how to do building Power BI, right? Or somebody who like have a very skill set, not just technology, but also like in any real life. These are the people who are the highest risk of falling behind on where the market is going, right? So again, I talked about my company going to a model where people are cross-functional. I think that everybody's doing that. Even nonprofit I look at now. I spend a fair amount of my time with volunteering with nonprofit and here in Minneapolis, and a lot of people are cross-functional. They're doing finance, they're doing HR, they're doing mentoring, whatever, right? The medical field is experiencing a lot of people now who doesn't have a medical field background but are entering because they're providing a new skill set, right? So curiosity is important. Being able to build in the team around you, invest in the people around you is probably something that's gonna help you the most.
Yeah, and to kind of add on to that, John, building that innate curiosity is kind of gaining those skills. I think Houghton is definitely the right place to do that. Is the right environment. And my recommendation for current students at Houghton, definitely take advantage of the strengths that Houghton has with the the low student to teacher ratios. Take advantage of talking with your professors, the open office hours that are not available to many of the students around the nation. I have friends that go to Penn State, and I tell them about my experience, and they're like, "That's insane to me. Like, I have to schedule meetings with my professor weeks in advance because they're just so busy. They just don't have time." And then I tell them about my relationship where, I went to professor's house to eat cookies. I went to Ryan's house to eat cookies one class time that Rebecca Yates was making. And like that kind of experience, you don't get that anywhere else. But you do need to take advantage of that. You can't it's not just going to be given to you for free. I would encourage students, ask questions. I mean, what was mentioned before, Houghton definitely gives you that opportunity to freely ask questions. But you need to kind of take that first step and to be courageous and kind of get outside of your comfort zone, because Houghton is a perfect place for you to develop your skills as a person and develop that innate curiosity. But you need to kind of take that first step and take advantage of the strengths that Houghton has to offer.
So I want to take an opportunity to make a plug. You guys have all been talking so favorably of Manners. Mary Vanden Bosch, who's here, is the president of our Houghton Manners chapter this year. She wanted me to remind you students, this Thursday night from 7:30 to 10, we're going to be down in the campus center. We're going to have trivia and prizes, and this is open to any student. So come learn, come network with the cabinet of Houghton Manners, and we would love to have you join us. I serve as the advisor to Manners. We would love to have you come there. Mercedes Hasselroth submitted a question, and her question to the panelists are, how do you make use of the Houghton network? How can I effectively connect with alumni?
I can go first. So that was actually something I somewhat excelled at of recruiting and getting connected with folks. Was I actually utilized LinkedIn quite a bit, even before pre-COVID time. LinkedIn was a great platform where they allow you to actually filter based on your schools. So I was able to reach out to a few different folks, and then also just going to talks like this, and just kind of not saying no to opportunities of meeting new people or who are coming into the campus, or kind of opportunities that are getting presented to you. I think I was able to take a trip to Buffalo at one point to go visit various different companies. And I didn't really say no. I did have to convince my professor this is a good thing, but I think all the professors are very up for it. And actually, Dr. Young was one of them at that time that I had to convince. But I think a lot of professors are really willing to work with you. Just make sure you open that communication with each other. And if you're really like looking to reach out, like start with us, right? We're all here right now because we're passionate about giving back. We're passionate about you guys, and we want to give back. And if I'm gonna challenge you guys, if I don't hear back from anyone who is on this campus, and I already had like 2 LinkedIn requests, I would highly suggest you to connect with me, connect with Jake, John, Eric, and really talk to us. What are your passion? What do you want to do next? What can we provide to you? Whether that's an academic career, that's a professional career within corporate world or nonprofit, just talk to us, and let's see where our network can grow your network for you.
We have a question from Dr. Hoffman. So Eric, you mentioned the really fun project with the self-driving harvester. Anyone else have a really fun project that you can talk about that's probably not proprietary?
I kind of have one.
Oh, you all want one at a time.
Okay, John, do you care if I go first?
Go for it, man.
Okay. So this was when I had first joined as a TAP. When I first joined as a TAP, I joined on the data science team. And so basically how the TAP program works is that it's 4 6-month rotations. It's slightly changed now. And now it's 2 6-month rotations followed by a 1-year rotation. And so my first 6 months on data science, I was given 2 big projects. One was demand forecasting, which is basically figuring out how much product we can expect to sell and when. And then the second one was kind of something I received at random. Basically, one of the data scientists was working on it, and it really wasn't going anywhere or really wasn't advancing that much. And so it was passed on to me to just kind of play with, something to do on my own while I was a TAP. And so this was a project where I was very sad about it because it was actually going to be implemented. And basically what it was is that it was a bunch of soil samples from fields all throughout the country, Colorado, California, even Hawaii, Alaska. And so what they did was they took infrared information from those images, which is basically just a really long series of numbers between 300 and 2,500. And so it's this giant data set of numbers that really describes the data based off of the infrared readings. And so from that, my goal was to obtain 1, the amount of moisture that was inside the soil sample, and 2, obtain the amount of organic matter inside the soil sample to an accurate enough degree where they don't have to do their in-lab tests anymore to do that, which would save them a lot of man hours. And so I was actually able to get it to the point where it was actually going to be implemented into the lab. But after it got to that point, the labs that we had owned at Land O'Lakes, it was called Solemn Labs, it actually had shut down. So my project never actually got implemented, even though it was something I was very excited about.
It was really cool to see Jacob's project because he basically would have allowed him to reduce the process from like 12 hours to just like 5 minutes. So I want to just share something. The reason I joined Land O'Lakes is actually I was gonna go and work for a mission organization, and for some reason that thing was like last minute, was not really working or something like that, and I just felt heavy-hearted. So Michael told me, "Hey, do you want to come with us to North Carolina to the nationals?" And I was like, "Yes, let's go. I want to get out of campus." And one of the main speaker at the time, he used to be a football player, and then he is a farmer. I forget his name. He's a sweet potato farmer, and he talked about how his story changed the community, how he's using his farming and his to impact his community, and he literally started preaching. And I was like, man, I think God is telling me something. Man, I think God is telling me not necessarily go and work in a mission organization that maybe I can impact and I can serve him in a different capacity, in a different way. And I started thinking a lot about companies that are making people's life better. So I started looking at Land O'Lakes, and right now I've got opportunities through Land O'Lakes to work on projects that are reducing carbon footprint, are providing jobs to farmers. Our company generally have been a leader in pioneering a project called the American Connection Project. And I made a commitment that whatever job I want to have at Land O'Lakes, I want to link it to a way. I don't want just to kind of necessarily make more sales, or not that this is bad, but or make somebody richer somewhere like that. Even though we're farmer owned and this all profit goes back to the farmers, but I wanted to make the world better, and I've been committing to any opportunity I work with to see how it impacts the world. So this is what here's what I'm gonna talk about: personal branding. Choose your goal early on, and it's okay to change it along the way, but and communicate that to people. Tell the people, hey, I know you're recruiting me to this, but this is a passion of mine. How do I link that to this job here? It's something that it is going to serve you a lot, and it's going to get you a lot of respect.
That's fantastic, John. Really, really well said. I have time for one last question, and then we're going to, for those of you who want to check out, feel free, but our data and computer science students are going to stay on with Carmen and Dr. Hoffman. But this is a question from Ella Osuzoka. She is obviously an accounting major, I'm assuming. How can accounting be connected to manners and agriculture? I'll let you guys field this.
I will take this one heavily. I talk about, we do a lot of accounting. So I was a project manager. It took me a while to learn about things like accrual and like all the different concepts that we don't learn about it in computer science. I wish I've taken an accounting class at Houghton College. It's something that we do. Like I'm working on right now on a project to propose idea how to serve schools in rural America. It's like a case competition, and the part where I'm struggling at, and I'm at when I try to find somebody in the finance field to help us, is like how do we can say the value of what we're providing. So Ella, we need you. We need people like you. We need people who, again, it's most important that you also be willing to learn about other fields and how accounting and finance impact other fields. So I know I'm sure Erik and Michael too, they work closely with finance, can add on that.
You can't really do anything without tracking money, basically. And so your skill set will be applicable in agriculture, space, traveling. It really doesn't matter what field you choose. Don't ever think of it as like I'm limited because of industry. Think of it as like, how can I fit into that industry and how can I excel in that industry? So whenever you're doubting yourself or whenever you're like questioning, do I fit into that? Just go and see what happens. Connect with people and see what is the opportunity available to you, or what do you have to do, or what additional skills that you need to acquire to get to that point. I think that was like some of the conversation I had early on with all of the panelists, and as well as Ryan and Carl when I started Manners, was just how can Manners fit into a college that doesn't even have an agriculture school, right? Like we didn't really understand how that fitted. I saw it just because I brought it in, but I was able to really bring that idea of talking about diversity, equity, inclusion, talking about how can agriculture industry companies or nonprofit needs data scientists, computer scientists, accountants, business analytic person, business administration, biology, whatever you name it. Like we have it all here, and Manners was just simply a channel to let those students shine to the world.
So Ella, we're going to be really disappointed if you don't come see us Thursday night down in the campus center. we really would love to have you and lots of other students be part of Manners. The opportunities are limitless, I promise you. Jake, Coach Lord said, you better get a patent, all right? Start working toward that patent. Don't lose that opportunity to cash in on that. So, yeah.
I was just gonna say, he's not the first one to tell me that.
All right. And so formally, I just want to bring our time to a close. I'm so thankful for you gentlemen to come and share from your hearts and talk about, your experiences both here at Houghton and beyond. And you aren't just representing Houghton College, you're representing the kingdom as you do that, John. I so appreciated that aspect. You are taking Houghton and you are taking your faith with you in whatever you're doing. So appreciate you. Please stay on. For those of you, again, who are leaving us, come back. Our next one is Monday, March 8th. Ella, you have to be there. That's the accounting one, 1:15 on March 8th. And then Tuesday, March 23rd will be our pre-health professional, the last best talk panel of this semester. So thank you, everyone. And I'm going to turn it over to Carmen or Brandon. It's all yours. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Carl, and thanks to the panelists. This has been a tremendous presentation. Such valuable information.